Hey, how's it going? Today we're going to talk about some brave teens back in the old times of World War II. 14-year-old Jack Lucas was eager to go to war. He lied about his age and forged his mother's signature on the enlistment papers. Lucas managed to qualify as a sharpshooter in the Marines. However, it did not take too long for the officers to realize that Lucas was underage. They threatened to send him home, but Lucas told them in a brave manner that he would just re-enlist with the army. The Marines gave him a safe job though, driving a transport truck in Hawaii. 3 years passed and Lucas did not see combat. He worried that he never would. And a brave soul that he was, Lucas stowed away on a ship bound for Hiroshima and was soon fighting Japanese soldiers. 2 grenades dropped in his trench. Lucas told his fellow Marines to run for it, and he dove on the grenades. One exploded. Lucas barely survived the blast. He needed to have 26 operations to repair his injuries. Even after the surgeries, Lucas still had more than 200 pieces of shrapnel embedded in his body. He was discharged from the Marines and awarded the Medal of Honor. Zenita Portnova was 15 when the German army invaded Belarus. Her grandmother had an argument with one of the soldiers, and he hit her. This incident left Portnova with a deep hatred of the Nazis, and she joined an underground resistance movement. Portnova began distributing Soviet propaganda, collecting weapons for Soviet soldiers, and reporting German troop movements. Within a year, she had learned how to use weapons and explosives. Portnova helped blow up several buildings, which killed over 100 Germans. She started to work as a kitchen aide and poisoned food meant for German troops. Portnova immediately became a suspect. She proclaimed her innocence and ate some of the poisoned food. Portnova was released when she did not become sick. Talk about food poisoning. She became extremely ill on her way home and barely recovered. When Portnova did not return to work, the Germans realized that she was the one who had poisoned them. They began to search for her. Portnova became a scout and was captured on one of her missions. During her interrogation, she grabbed the Nazi officer's guns and shot him and the other 2 soldiers. Although Portnova tried to escape, she was captured, tortured, and executed. She was only 17. 16-year-old Stefina Begorska went to work for a Jewish family. After her father died, she became close with the family and moved in with them. Unfortunately, Hitler soon invaded Poland, and the family was forced into a ghetto. Begorska returned to her family home after her mother and brother were sent to war camps. The siblings were poor and they had to sell clothes to feed themselves. However, when she found out that people in the ghetto were going to die, she knew that she had to do something. Podgorska was soon harboring 13 Jewish people. She found a job at a factory and used the money to rent a bigger house. But it was still difficult to support 15 people. She started knitting sweaters for money and food, which she often had to buy on the black market. She lived in the constant fear that someone would learn her secret. So she stopped talking to anyone outside her home. German soldiers came into her home and they told Podgorska that she had to leave the house within 2 hours. She refused to leave. And also she knew that if she left, all 13 Jewish people would die. Fortunately, the German soldiers never returned. 8 months later, the Soviet army came and liberated her city. All the Jewish people were finally free after 2.5 years of hiding. Max Diamond proposed to Podgorska. The 2 married and moved to the US. 18-year-old Simon Sugan was determined to help rid France of the German army. She joined the French resistance and started to hinder Nazis wherever she could. Her first mission was to steal a bicycle from a German soldier. She succeeded. The bike was repainted, and Sequin used it to deliver messages. She soon took on her more difficult missions. Her lieutenant asked her to help him blow up a bridge. A minor thing for a teenager. Sequin was given a gun as well, in order to guard the area against Germans. She did not have to fire a shot, but her lieutenant admired her bravery. So Sequin was permitted to do more dangerous jobs. She joined her fellow resistance members when they blew up bridges and derailed trains. After the end of the war, Sequin had become a soldier. She fought in the battle to liberate her hometown and help capture 25 German soldiers. She also joined the French troops in their march to Paris and helped liberate the French capital as well. She was promoted to lieutenant and awarded a great honor of heroism. Bernard Bouvart was 16 when he joined the Swiss Secret Service. At first, he just passed mail and informed on German soldiers' movements. However, he soon became a smuggler. He and 14 others transported grenades, gunpowder, microfilm, and people to Switzerland where they would be safe. It was a dangerous job that needed to be done at night. However, there was a curfew between 11 p.m. and 5 a.m. The German soldiers would shoot anyone they saw during that time frame. In fact, one of Boulevart's friends was gunned down during a mission. Nevertheless, Boulevard and his group continued to deliver fugitives to the Swiss border. These families helped the fugitives get deeper into Switzerland, where they could be housed in internment camps. Bovar and his group saved hundreds of people. Unfortunately, Bovar was caught by the Germans in 1943. He was sent to a concentration camp where he remained until he was freed by the Allies in 1945. At 17, Charlotte Sorkin was the youngest member of her resistance group. She created thousands of false papers for people who were persecuted by the Nazis and led groups of wanted people out of the country. Sorkin helped her family escape the country. However, she decided to stay. She wanted to do everything she could to fight the German soldiers. After Marion Cohen was arrested and tortured and killed by the Nazis, Sorkin took on her duties. She helped bring dozens of children to Switzerland, where they would be safe. Sorkin continued to make papers and bring people to safety until many members of her resistance group were arrested. Then she joined a different resistance group that focused on combat. Sorkin obtained the transported weapons, planted explosives in places where German soldiers met, and took an active part in the liberation of Paris. After the war, Sorkin was given many awards for her actions. 17-year-old Sonia Butt joined the Women's Air Force the day she became eligible for service. Within 2 years, she drew the attention of the Special Ops Executive, which was looking for potential female spies. She parachuted into northern France to act as a go-between for Allied troops and the French resistance, but was also responsible for finding out new info as well. She had to dine with German soldiers and flirt with them for info, but was a specialist in explosives, and she used the intel she gained to blow up bridges and German convoys. After a unit weapons officer was killed, she took over his duties and trained new recruits in both weapons and explosives. She was ambushed by Germans on her way to deliver a message. They knocked her off her bicycle and questioned her. The soldiers beat her until she bled. They left her bleeding on the ground, and she took shelter in a nearby barn. The next day, she delivered the info that she was carrying and returned the same way she had come. After the war, Butt was awarded member of the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire. She married a fellow agent, and the pair moved to Canada after the war. 17-year-old Masha Bruskin was a member of the resistance of Minska. She volunteered at a hospital that took care of injured soldiers from the Red Army. Bruskin did more than care for the wounded. She helped soldiers escape by getting them civilian clothes and false identity papers. Bruskina was captured and tortured for several days, but she refused to give up the names of other members of her group. She was sentenced to be publicly hanged. Prinska was paraded through the streets, but she walked calmly to her death. When she was placed on the stool, she turned her back to the crowd. This angered the executioner, as they wanted her to stand with her face to the crowd. They tried to force her to turn around, but they were unsuccessful. They kicked the stool away from her. Bruski's body hung for 3 days before the Germans allowed the town to bury her. Trish Armstein's entire family disagreed with the Nazi ideology, so they helped Jewish people and political refugees illegally cross the border between Germany and the Netherlands. When a member of the Dutch resistance asked her to join, she jumped at the first chance. Started with simple missions, distributing illegal newspapers, handing them out as leaflets, and procuring aid for refugees. She soon took on more serious jobs. She entered concentration camps, provided false papers, and extracted Jewish children. She also had her fellow resistance members that found hiding places for the children. She was asked to join the armed resistance, and she accepted. She was given military training and taught how to shoot. Her first job was to flirt with a German soldier and lead them into the woods. They would be shot by fellow resistance members. Soon she was shooting soldiers and blowing up bridges. Her actions angered the Germans, who offered more than $150,000 today for her capture. She was never caught. Adolfo Kaminsky dropped out of school at 13 to help support his family. He worked for a clothes dryer, similar to a modern-day dry cleaner. Spent hours learning how to remove stains from fabric, and he delivered a love of chemistry. He started to read chemistry books and perform experiments at home. He also spent weekends working for a chemist at a dairy. The Nazis invaded his country when he was 16. Kaminsky and his family narrowly avoided a stay at a concentration camp. They had to go underground to survive. Kaminsky's father sent him to pick up false papers from a Jewish resistance group. When Kaminsky arrived, he was told that the group was struggling to remove a blue dye from the documents. He told them to use a laxative acid, a trick he had learned at the dairy. It worked, and Kaminsky was asked to join the resistance. By his 19th birthday, Kaminsky had saved the lives of thousands of people by making false documents, ID cards that did not say Jewish, foreign passports, and train tickets. He never took a cent for his work. He just wanted to help disadvantaged people. Kaminsky continued his work after World War II by supplying fake documents to needy people all over the world. Anyway, do you think teens nowadays could do all this stuff? Thank you for the comments and likes. Have a great one.